Hey, what's up YouTube? It's abluegolfball today with another Pokemon TCG online video, and today I have for you guys a Nidoqueen deck from Primal Clash. It is a 140 HP Psychic Pokemon with the Primal trait Barrage. You can basically attack twice in a turn, you know, if you knock out the first one, you get a crack at hitting the next Pokemon that your opponent sends out. So pretty good. We have here Poison Jab. For only one Psychic Energy, your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned, and it does 30 damage. Now, you can slap a Muscle Band, and then it's doing 50 damage, plus Poison. And if you have City Gym out, it's doing 80 damage in one turn. And that's pretending if your opponent doesn't use, Verzian or whatnot to block out. So anyways, or Sparkling Robe. It's pretty good. And then we have Dynamic Punch. Okay, this Pokemon does 20 damage to itself, but a nice thing is we don't apply weakness to this damage, meaning since we are Psychic ourselves and we're weak against Psychic, it wouldn't make any sense that we'll do Dynamic Punch and then do 40, and then we do Dynamic Punch again, and then we do another 40, so we do 80 damage to ourselves just to output 70 two times. So we do play, besides City Gym, we play Dimension Valley, and that means we only need to play 2 Psychic Energies out to do Dynamic Punch. That's if we don't need to poison our opponent. We don't want to use Poison Jab. We could just use Dynamic Punch for 2 energies and hit for 180 with a Muscle Band. We're doing 90 and 90 again for 2 energies. Now that's pretty solid if you ask me. This is a 2 retreat cost Pokemon, but we will be playing Mystery Energy to get the free retreat. Yes, I understand that there's Enhanced Hammer out there, so we'll probably look out for that. We are pretty energy efficient, so if we do get Enhanced Hammer, we have 8 Psychic Energies that we can still play and circulate around in our deck and things like that. So we have some things working for us. Now, since this is a Stage 2 line, it is pretty difficult to get into play. We're going to be running a 4-1-4 line of Nidoqueen. For the Pokemon to slow our opponents down, hopefully, is going to be Sigilif with Safeguard. It's got the ability that prevents any effects or attacks from EX Pokemon, and works pretty well. We never know when you could use Psychic as well, since we are playing Psychic Energies. We have Wobbuffet here for Bide Barricade. Basically shuts off all other non-Psychic Pokemon abilities. Now, Wobbuffet's pretty good because, think about this. There's Ninetales in Primal Clash that has the that Stadium lock. The Stadium lock. I forgot what the ability is called, but can you imagine if your opponent has plays their Stadium, counters our Stadium, and then evolves Vulpix into Ninetales, and then locks up the Stadium? Now what we can do is bring Wobbuffet to the active spot, and then basically shuts off Ninetales' abilities, and then we can just play our own Stadium and then retreat. And then our opponent is now stuck with our Stadium. Unless, of course, they Lysander out Wobbuffet, and then they counter it again. But then, that's pretty cool, right? I mean, I think that's pretty slick. So there you go. That's why Wobbuffet's in there. Plus, it also helps for things like maybe we need to stop our opponent from using Genesect's Red Signal. I don't know. And other abilities too, so it's pretty good. On to our item cards. The aspect of choice is going to be Computer Search. We can discard 2 cards from our hand and search for any card we want in our deck, and then we shuffle our deck afterwards. Pretty solid here. We always use Computer Search just to search for anything. Very consistent card, especially if we have special energies in our hand. It works very well just to search for that special energy, since there's really no other ways to search for it. We have here the Escape Rope. One of these, you never know when you get paralyzed or you run into a situation where you got to drag something else out from your opponent's bench. We got the Professor's Letter. We got a 3 rare candies here just for the evolution line, as mentioned before. We got 1 switch. Again, since our Pokemon do have pretty heavy retreat costs, and we can't exactly just rely on Mystery Energy, since our opponent can always play Enhanced Hammer. We can play the switch there as well. We got Ultra Ball, 3 of these just to get the Pokemon out. We got 2 Via Seekers to get the support cards back into our hand, and onto our support line we got 1 Colress, 2 Lysanders, 1 Lysander Storm card, just to cycle stuff back into our deck before we deck out and lose the game. We have 3 ends, and I'll show you guys. We'll have another card to substitute before we round out. Having a full set of ends. 2 Pokemon Center Ladies, since we're gonna be hurting ourselves quite a bit. And you never know when there's going to be special conditions. 1 Professor Birch's Observation. This will substitute for that last end instead of having 4 ends. And we have 4 Junipers, 1 Skyledge to search out for the rare candy, and then Teammates. We have 1 of these in the deck. You never know. Let's say, for example, you have a Nidoran on your bench, and you have a Nidoqueen in your active spot, and you know, you knock out your opponent, and then your opponent in the next turn knocks you out, you can just, and if you have teammates in your hand, you can just search for the rare candy and a Nidoqueen, and if you're lucky enough you have another energy in your hand, then you can just play it onto your fresh Nidoqueen and start hitting for, you know, poison jab, or if you already had another energy on your Nidoran before you evolve, then you can start hitting with Dimension Valley. So here it is, the Dimension Valley. Each psychic Pokemon attacks both yours and opponents is one colorless energy less. And once again, that works very well for Dynamic Punch, needing only 2 psychic energies to pull it off. We're going to be running 2 of those, and then we're going to be running 2 very big sitting gyms for the poison damage, if we can pull that off. And here we go. We got the Muscle Band. I thought about playing Protection Cube just to protect ourselves, but the Muscle Band is just too valuable here, especially if you can hit twice. And if you can play the Muscle Band, you're hitting 50 and 50, and then poison damage. That's 130 damage per turn. So that's very good. And then, yeah, the 8 energies and the 4 special mystery energies. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see this Nidoqueen Primal Clash deck in action on Pokemon TCG Online. Okay, looks like we're going against Swagmire. It is a Psychic, Water, and colorless deck. Apparently we have the advantage, but you never know what that ever means. And ooh, nice for you know, it's lucky for us, we get to go first. We start off with the full line here of Nidoqueen. It's gonna take us 3 turns to evolve, and I don't know if we have the patience for that. We'll have to wait and see. My opponent plays a Sigilyph. I'm going to go ahead and play that right there and end the turn. I don't think my opponent should be able to knock us out unless my opponent has something like a Dimension Valley, drops on a Psychic Energy, and then plays an Ether. That would do the trick, I would suppose. Would do. I mean, my opponent wouldn't be able to knock us. Well, actually would, since we are Psychic weak. But for some reason, I don't see that happening. I just don't see anything like... yeah, okay, so the Sigilyph here might get powered up, and that's not looking too good. In the next turn, my opponent would need a DCE, and we would get knocked out even with the Nidoran here. So, okay, here we go. I'm going to go and probably just play that there. I'm going to end up Junipering, simply because I don't want to see a DCE drop. But at the same time... right, let's see. I mean, we can scratch for 40, well, minus 20 with a hard charm. But I really don't want to see the DCE drop. If we see a DCE drop, my opponent would easily knock us out. So let's go ahead and I'm going to discard the Burbank City Gym as well. Okay, so we actually end up with this. I'm going to go ahead and we'll discard this here. Let's go look for the Dimension Valley, get that into play, and now we can actually strength and knock out the Sigilyph. Look at that. Beautiful. We even get a Muscle Band. The Suicune is by no means able to power up unless we see a DCE drop, and then my opponent plays an Ether. I always talk about an Ether as if everyone plays Ether, but you know, like no one really does. Okay, so here we go. We see the Water Energy drop onto the Suicune, and yeah, we will evolve into the Nidoqueen in the next turn. We'll play the Muscle Band as well. We should be able to get the knockout on the Suicune here, hitting the Suicune for 90, and then we can probably just hit the... Oh, no! Oh, here comes the Lysander, bringing out the little Nidoran. And, okay, let's go ahead. We'll play this here. We'll play that there as well. We'll even, you know what, we'll go with the Poison Sting here, I think. Why the heck not, right? Well, actually, yeah, this is game. Let's just retreat into here. We'll go ahead, we'll go with a Dynamic Punch, and then we'll just Poison Jab anyways. So there we go, knocking out the Suicune. And, okay, alright, should we play another match? I suppose. Let's go ahead and see Nidoqueen one more time on Pokemon TCG Online. Okay, looks like we're playing against SF Monterio. It is a Psychic, Grass, and Lightning deck. That sounds to me like perhaps it could be even like a Dragonite deck. I don't know. We start off with a Wobbuffet. So if this was a Dragonite deck, if we have Wobbuffet in the active spot, I would gladly take that. So here we go. My opponent's got the let's see, looks like the World Championship sleeves from I think 2 years ago. Those are pretty good sleeves. Okay, ooh, we see a Mew. I don't know how I feel about that. So what I want to do right now is, I think the best thing to do is to, I'm gonna discard these guys, and let's go with the Nidoran. And okay, let's see. Yeah, we'll just go with the Nidoran, and we'll play this here. And yeah, we're going to discard the Rare Candy and the Nidorina, and we're going to go with a Juniper. I want to get a new fresh hand here and get a better start. I actually want at least one energy drop. We see the Dimension Valley. I kind of don't want to do that, but we actually could play the Dimension Valley and retreat into the Sigilif. I think that's a worthy thing we can do as well. So let's go ahead, we'll do that. I don't want to see any weird shenanigans and having the Mew knock something out. So we'll play with the Sigilif here. Hopefully my opponent doesn't have an N or anything rather. We can always via Seeker the Lysander Strum card. I do want to get the Rare Candy and stuff like that back. So let's go ahead, we'll end the turn here. And we'll see what my opponent does. In the next turn, if we don't see anything happen, definitely we can play the Ultra Ball. But at this point, we can't exactly play the Ultra Ball since Nidorina is in the discard and also our Rare Candy. So we can just go for the VS Seeker and VS Seeker the Lysander Strum card back into everything. So that's definitely an option. We see here the Battle Compressor. Oh boy, this is going to be a Night March deck. Yeah, for some reason I saw a grass type. I think that really throws me off. Are there any? There's no Night Marchers that are grass type. So what could that possibly be? Maybe that's a Leafeon. Yeah, probably a Leafeon. You know, to go against Seismitoad and to go against things like Sigilif. So here we go. My opponent goes for a VS Seeker, discarding that with the using the Battle Compressor. We see the VS Seeker for a Skyla as well. Not sure what's going on there. I think my opponent's going to opt to go for the Skyla first. Okay, we see a Grass Energy drop onto the Mew. Okay, let's go ahead. We're gonna disrupt my opponent right now. Let's just go ahead and slow down my opponent. And there we go. We'll put back the Lampent and stuff like that. And wait a second. Why did my turn end? I did not end my turn. What was up with that? I did not end my turn. Well, actually, I'm actually okay with that because I guess we can just use Rare Candy in the next turn. And dang it, I did not. Did you guys see that? I didn't end my turn. All I did was I used Lysander's Strum card to put everything back into the from the discard pile, and I have no idea. Ooh, we see a Lampent and a Gourgeist here. That's probably why. Here we go. We see the Mew probably going for a I don't know. I mean, my opponent would need to use Lysander, but we already saw my opponent use the Professor Sycamore. So there we go. Hitting for nothing over there. We even get the VS Seeker once again. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hang on to the Colress. I'm going to discard these two. Let's go for the Nidoqueen. Alright, so let's get the Nidoqueen out into play. Let's Rare Candy this. And you know what? We'll just troll my opponent a little bit more. Let's go with the Lysander Strum card, just slowing our opponent down some more. There we go. More stuff back into his discard pile. And we got the Colress for the next turn. Hopefully my opponent does not draw into a Lysander and bring out the Nidoqueen. But either way, right now my opponent would be doing 0 damage because there's no Night Marchers in the discard pile. Definitely we'll have to wait and see what my opponent does. I think my opponent might have a Skyla in his hand. I don't remember that too particular, but yeah, for now, I'm expecting probably just a pass. I mean, I don't know. We see a Pumpkaboo, my opponent discarding the Grass Energy to play for the retreat. The Pumpkaboo here can definitely evolve or something. Oh, we see a Special Energy, a Professor Sycamore. Okay, we see a Lampent. I'm not sure what's going on here. We see the Professor Sycamore discarding 1 Lampent. Alright, my opponent would still need to play a DCE plus the Dimension Valley to be able to hit the Sigilif. No, all we see is a Grass Energy. Here comes the Battle Compressor. So our Sigilif was able to buy us a couple of turns here, and my opponent was able to get a couple more Pokemon onto his side of the field, so we can actually Colress for a bigger hand size. And so it pays off to be, it pays to be patient sometimes. And there we go. We see Lampent, and Pumpkaboo with another Lampent from the Ultra Ball discarding. And that's 4 in total. We see the VI Seeker for a Professor Sycamore. There's already one Sycamore in the discard pile. We see my opponent discarding a Lysander. Interesting. Using the Ultra Ball to discard a Lysander and another Ultra Ball. So that's 1, 2, 3 Ultra Balls already in the discard pile. And now it is our turn. And we even get a Muscle Band to boot. So that's always fun. What I'm going to do is probably play the Muscle Band on the Wobbuffet. I think the Sizzlewurf might get knocked out from the Pumpkaboo. So we might not want to invest in the Sizzlewurf. We do get teammates, so that's always really good too. I'm expecting to see the Dimension Valley. I actually don't think we will see. Yeah, I actually don't think we'll see another. I don't think we'll see anything like Enhance Hammer. So if my opponent knocks out the Sizzlewurf, what I'll do is just use a Teammates for the Dimension Valley and another Energy, play it onto the Nidoqueen, and knock out the Pumpkaboo in one shot, and then knock out whatever pops up. Besides the Virizion EX, definitely can't knock that out. But as of right now, I mean, we don't really have any other attackers. We have a Wobbuffet here, but Wobbuffet does not have any attack power whatsoever at this point. So we see the Dimension Valley, and there we go. We see the Muscle Band. We're going to need to see a DCE drop to really feel threatened here. And once again, we do have the teammates here. My opponent can definitely go and Lysander out the Nidoqueen. That's no good. We're going to have to find a way to to get another Nidoqueen going if my opponent does Lysanders out our Nidoqueen. If we can draw into an end, my opponent I think already used the supporter for the turn, so we shouldn't see a Lysander this turn. And we haven't seen my opponent play anything else. Oh wow, we don't. Okay, we get a Juniper. We didn't get the end, but we can actually go for a Nidoran and get another one going here. Let's go with a Juniper. We should still have a rare candy. We even get the VS Secret, and next turn we always can go for. We can always go for another Lysander's trump card. So let's go ahead. I'm actually going to opt to power up the Nidoran here, make it a threat for my opponent, I suppose. Either that, or I'm gonna maybe we should undo that. Let's just start attacking. Why not? Let's see here. Yeah, maybe we can just attack with the Wobbuffet. I think let's just go for an assault. Psychic Assault. For some reason, I feel pretty confident my opponent only has 4 cards here. My opponent had 3 cards earlier. I feel pretty confident that my opponent doesn't have a DCE or another energy. Maybe my opponent does. I thought I saw my opponent drew an energy, but if my opponent does, then you know what? That's too bad. Oh boy, my opponent discards a handful of cards. My opponent did not have the energy, and most likely my opponent will have the energy now. So. Here's the energy drop. That's okay with me. I was actually what I wanted to do was I wanted to just kind of make a dent at the Pumpkaboo and probably tease my opponent to, or actually try to have my opponent decoy to attack the Wobbuffet rather than attacking the Nidoqueen, because our Nidoqueen is more important at this point than our Wobbuffet. So that was the plan there. I didn't want to see my opponent Lysander or anything else out. So here we go. I think what we'll do is just go ahead. We'll do a Lysander Strum card and put everything back into. Oh, what happened there? Oh my goodness, my opponent concedes anyways, but. Is it just me, or there's something wrong with the Lysander's trump card? I don't know. Once I play it again, I think I have to watch it closely, because I should have been able to knock out that that Pumpkaboo. I clicked done because isn't that what you're supposed to do, right? Well, okay. Anyways, I played 2 matches. Let's go ahead. We didn't actually get to see Nidoqueen attack in that one, so let's go ahead and play one more match here on Pokemon TCG Online. Okay, looks like we're going against Ryuki 7, and this is also a Water Metal Psychic deck. This could be maybe a Mewtwo, Keldeo, and Metal deck with Bronzong for Keldeo to rush in and retreat, and Mewtwo to be powered up as a secondary attacker from something else. But who knows? It could be anything, really. We start off with nothing here. We start off with nothing again, and then we get a Wobbuffet. Lucky for us, we get to go first. And, you know, we have 8 basics that we can draw into. That's a decent ratio. I mean, it's not an extremely high ratio, but for some reason we end up mulling again a number of times. And I have no idea why. But my opponent's going to be able to draw into quite a number of cards. We're just going to have to wait and see if, you know, my opponent responds with the benefit of drawing into a lot of cards. So we see my opponent has the Team Aqua sleeves. I'm not too sure if this deck truly is a water type deck, but since we saw the metal and the psychic type listed out in the beginning before the match began, I have to wait and see what my opponent's playing here. But we do have a rare candy here, and we have a Nidorina. For some reason, we have one Nidorina, and this one Nidorina shows up more often than our other Pokemon. Ooh, this is a water deck. We do see Keldeo, we do see Blastoise, and we see a Kyurem. Right now, Keldeo cannot rush in and retreat, so that's always good stuff for us. I'm going to go ahead. We'll just play... man, I should not have played that there. But you know what? Let's go with the Professor Birch's observation hidden for heads. Yes, sirree. We even get this right here, and we even get a switch. But my opponent does not play the EXs at first, so we're going to end our turn here, and I'm going to cross my fingers and hope my opponent doesn't have a N on his side of the field. But let's go ahead. We'll just play the Muscle Band here for now, because you never know when we do, if we would get End into something bad, and you know, we don't get the Muscle Band again. Plus, if we get End, as long as we play the Muscle Band, changes the dynamics a little bit. But then it also means that if we play the Muscle Band now, it actually causes psychologically my opponent to consider playing the Startling Megaphone right now, and that means if we see the Startling Megaphone now, then we don't have to worry about it later, where it actually counts, perhaps, whereas it's actually more important for us to keep our tool cards in place. So there we go. My opponent just attaches the energy and passes turn. Let's go ahead. We will play this here, and okay, so we'll play. Too bad we didn't. We don't have the Verbank City Gym. I'm gonna go ahead and play for the retreat, and let's go for the Juniper. We get the Dimension Valley. But what I really want to do is I want to get the Verbank City Gym out. So I'm going to actually hang on to the Dimension Valley. Let's go ahead. We'll just discard these two. I think we can always go for the Juniper later. So I want to get the Verbank City Gym. This would be a one-hit knockout on the Kyurem, right? Check it out. Okay. We'll go with that, 50, right? Poison, and then we'll go Poison Jab again, 50, and then plus the poison damage, knocking out 130 damage in one turn. What? That can take out a Donphan. Oh, wow, that is sick. One energy in Muscle Band plus Verbank City Gym took out a Kyurem. Wow. Oh, man. My opponent is probably like, what just happened? What? Are you kidding me? Wow, that is impressive. Alright, so my opponent can definitely go with the Keldeo here. We see a Float Stone on the Keldeo. Definitely can rush in and retreat with countering the poison from the Nidoqueen. But if we see my opponent counter our Stadium, which my opponent does, we'll just counter it back with the Dimension Valley, and we'll knock out the Keldeo, because we can actually, oh my goodness, we can Dynamic Punch the Keldeo for a knockout. We see the Blastoise over here with an energy drop, and wow, this is too exciting here, too exciting. Oh my goodness. We see the Colress, my opponent playing the Colress for 4. I don't think we're going to be, my opponent's shouldn't be able to attack us this turn. Unless we see like an Ether and then retreat, and then we see the Rapid Spin. But for some reason, I feel pretty confident that that's not going to happen. Okay, the Keldeo is going to get knocked out right here. Let's go ahead. I'm actually going to go and play the Special Energy. We'll play the Dimension Valley, and let's just knock out the Keldeo. Oh, wow, 90 damage, hitting 20 for ourselves, and then we're going to attack again. Oh, my goodness. Are you kidding me? Back-to-back knockouts. We knocked out a Kyurem. We knocked out a Blastoise. We got a Nidoran here. Wow, this is too great. My opponent can always do a Rapid Spin, and then we'll get spun into something else as well. But at this point, I think what I'll do is just go into the Sigilyph. There's really no other attackers here. We see a little Duskull. I'm not too concerned about the Duskull whatsoever. We got a couple things we can do here. I can play the Muscle Band. I can play the Energy. I can discard the Verbank City Gym and something else, and then get another Nidoran out or Nidorino, and then play the Via Seeker for the Juniper, right? So that's always a plan there too. But what I want to do is win. So First option is we're gonna get rapid spin, and we'll probably just go into the Sigilyph, right? Because there's really nothing else that can attack us. So the first option, I would just go ahead and discard the Verping City Gym and discard whatever else we draw into, and then search out for the Nidoran, and then play the energy, play the Muscle Band, play VS Seeker for the Juniper. Or the other thing we can do is just go ahead and play the VS Seeker for the last hander, play the energy onto the Sigilyph, and then retreat. That's always an option there too. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna go ahead. We will go and just grab the Lysander, and we'll bring out the Blastoise. We will retreat into the Nidoqueen. Why not play this here? And let's go ahead. We'll just go for the Dynamic Punch right there on the Blastoise, and Dynamic Punch again on the Blastoise. That's what you guys came to see. You guys came to see these knockouts on the big EXs, and oh boy, this little Duskull is going down. Even if my opponent plays a catcher, we have an escape rope, and we should be able to knock out anything, basically. We have enough HP to knock out anything. Even if my opponent plays another EX Pokemon and switches into it, or plays an escape rope, and we can play our own escape rope. So here we go. We see a VS Seeker. My opponent can play for a Kohler, Skyla, or a Professor Sycamore. I would assume it's going to go for a Professor Sycamore. Oh, never mind. We see the Skyla maybe going for the escape rope. That could be pretty handy as well. I do have a lot of damage on this Nidoqueen. My opponent can get a rare candy and evolve into a Dusknoir, move this damage counter onto the Sigilyph and Nidoran, or something rather, and yeah, maybe be able to draw a prize. That's an option as well. But either way, that wouldn't prevent what is the writing on the wall. The writing is on the wall that this is a victory for Nidoqueen, and oh boy, I am excited. This is the anticipation is causing me to perspire. Okay, that's too much information for you guys. Anyways, there we go. Wow, this was a good game. I actually really enjoyed this one. My opponent saw the writing on the wall that it was gonna be defeat, and the Nidoqueen is just too dominant here, folks. Too dominant. Oh, that was fun. Wow, we were able to hit for a ton of damage. Biggest attack was 90. We put out, man, 540 damage. Man, Nidoqueen was a beast, and I apologize for my opponent. I wasn't really able to get his deck going. We only saw 30 damage outputted from my Blastoise EX, and that was about it. So let's go ahead and see what this prize was. I know you guys are always curious, and that's all we got. We got an Acrobite. Oh, look at the top two cards of your deck, and put one into your hand, discard the other. I suppose that's decent. But yeah, this was pretty exciting. Let me know what you guys think of this deck. Let me know in the comments below. If you guys haven't subscribed already, please do. And give this video a thumbs up. If you guys have any other deck ideas, please shoot them my way, and I'll see to it if I can build it. I'll definitely have some more Pokemon TCG Online content for you guys soon. You guys have a good day. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.